Welcome back everyone. This is the fourth video in the series of video lectures on the chapter motion for class 9. In the last few classes we have discussed about what is motion, what is rest, then we have discussed about distance and displacement. I hope you have all watched these videos carefully and taken down your notes. So yesterday we discussed what is uniform and non-uniform motion. What is uniform and non-uniform motion we have discussed yesterday. Now today our topic of discussion will be measuring the rate of motion. How the motion, its rate, how rate of motion is measured. Okay, today we will discuss how rate of motion is measured. Now first we have to know what do we mean by measuring rate of motion. Measuring rate of motion means to understand or to know or to comprehend how fast or how slow a body is moving. We have to understand how fast, how slow a body is moving. Okay. Now we have this simple ideas about a fast moving body and a slow moving body, but in terms of, that means in scientific terms, we need some parameters or some quantities which can give us a clear idea about whether a body is moving fast or it is moving slow. So today we will start our discussion on how to measure this rate of motion. You can see it is already written here. There are two ways of knowing whether a body is moving fast or moving slow. Okay, the two parameters has been spelled out clearly here. One is speed and the other is velocity. The first term is speed and the second term is velocity. Now, what is speed? Speed in general terms we can say speed is distance covered by a moving body in unit time. So what is speed? In very simple terms we can say speed is the distance covered by a moving body in unit time. Unit time means in 1 second, you can say it's unit time. In 1 second, the distance covered by a body, you can name that quantity or the value that you will get along with proper unit as the speed of the body. Okay? Now, let us discuss what is velocity. Now, velocity, you can see velocity is displacement covered by a moving body in unit time. In unit time, what is the displacement covered by a moving body? That quantity is known as velocity. So there are two ways of measuring rate of motion, either by knowing speed or by knowing velocity. It depends on your requirement or the observer's requirement, what he wants to know about the moving body. Depending on that requirement, he may calculate speed or he or she may calculate velocity. Now, let us first discuss a little bit more about speed. Speed of a body may be constant, maybe, okay, but in most of the real life cases, speed of a body is not constant. It is a variable quantity. It keeps on changing with time. Sometimes a moving body may speed up and sometimes it may slow down. So speed of a moving body is a quantity which may be sometimes constant and under special circumstances, but in most of the cases it is a variable quantity. It keeps on changing with time. Okay, so if there is a moving body whose speed is continuously changing with time, and if you want to know its speed, then what you will do? Since the speed is continuously changing, you cannot say any one fixed value of that particular speed. Okay? Now you need some other quantity. And that quantity is known as average speed. That quantity is known as average speed. So what we do here, a body which is moving but having variable speed, for that moving body, it is better to find the average speed of the body. And how to find average speed? You can see I have written the formula clearly here. Average speed is equal to total distance traveled by the body. Total distance traveled by the moving body. You divide that distance by total time taken by that same body in doing that particular motion. Okay, once again, average speed is total distance divided by the total time taken. This quantity, total distance divided by the total time taken, this quantity in science is known as average speed. And what is the need for average speed? Because there are many bodies which move with variable speed. So if a body is moving with variable speed, sometimes it may have very high speed, sometimes it may have low speed. So if I ask you what is the speed of that particular body, then you cannot be sure which one is the speed. Then you need to find average speed of the body. So average speed does not mean that the body is moving with that particular speed. We will solve numericals on this. But remember this, average speed does not mean that the body is moving with that particular velocity always. Okay, it's just an idea about the average speed that the body has maintained during its motion. Sometimes, in actual case, the moving body may sometimes have speed greater than this value, or sometimes speed lower than this particular value that you will get. Now, SI unit of average speed. SI unit of average speed is meter per second. Take note of this fact. SI unit of average speed is meter per second. There are other units of speed also which are more common or more familiar to you. You have already heard about this units. Other units are centimeter per second, less familiar, but this is the most common that we hear in our day-to-day life. Kilometer per hour. But remember, kilometer per hour is not the SI unit. SI unit is meter per second. You may be thinking, what is an SI unit? SI unit is actually the internationally accepted system of units. Okay, the internationally accepted system of unit for average speed is meter per second. Take note of this in your copy. Okay, now let us discuss what is average velocity. Just earlier I have said speed is the distance covered in unit time. But what is velocity? It is the displacement per unit time. Velocity is displacement per unit time. Okay, so velocity is basically speed with direction. When we need to know the speed of a body along with the direction in which it is moving, then we go for velocity. Okay, now just like speed is a variable quantity or may be constant sometimes, velocity may be constant sometimes only, but most of the times velocity is also seen that it changes. So it's a variable quantity. Velocity also is in most of the cases, velocity is a variable quantity. Since it is a variable quantity, we will go for, if we want to understand the rate of motion of a body with direction, then we go for average velocity. Okay. Now what is average velocity? Average velocity can be found out by using this formula. Average velocity is average velocity is equal to total displacement divided by total time taken. So total displacement by total time taken. So if you compare this formula with the formula for average speed, you will see that on the right hand side, the numerator now is displacement, while in case of average speed, it was distance. So you have to keep in mind this point of difference. On the right hand side for average velocity, the numerator has displacement. Okay. So one more important thing, average velocity contains information of direction also. So average velocity gives us an idea about the speed also, together with direction. Average velocity means speed together with direction. But in case of just average speed, it was only the magnitude. Okay, there was no information about direction. But this quantity, average velocity, gives us both. So when you need to measure the rate of motion of a body together with the direction, then you have to go for average velocity. Now the good thing about average velocity is that its SI unit is same as average speed, which is meter per second. SI unit of average velocity and average speed both are same. Okay, since average velocity contains information about direction, it has been classified as, I told you earlier that physical quantities are classified as scalars and vectors. Okay, average velocity is a vector quantity. Average velocity is a vector quantity. It's a vector quantity, contains magnitude and direction, plus follows some special laws. While average speed is a scalar quantity. So all of you can take this as a note that gives us the difference between average speed and average velocity. Average speed is a scalar quantity, average velocity is a vector quantity. Okay, now we will solve some numericals so that our concepts of average speed and average velocity become more concrete. Okay, so here you can see a numerical which is taken from the NCERT textbook, and it states this: an object travels, so it is in motion, 16 meters in 4 seconds, and then another 16 meters in 2 seconds. So you see that the first 16 meter is traversed in 4 seconds, and the next 16 meter is traversed in just 2 seconds. Okay, so what is required? What is the average speed of the object? We are asked to find the average speed of the object. So this is a case where the object is moving with a variable speed. See, 16 meter in 4 seconds, 16 meter in 2 seconds. So in the second case, 16 meter is traversed in just 2 seconds. That means the body has speed up in the second case. The body has speed up in some second case. 16 meter in just 2 seconds compared to the first case. Okay, so first we have to know what is required. You see, we are asked to find average speed. So all of you take note of this question. First take this, that means write this question in your copy. Then we will solve it. An object travels 16 meter in 4 seconds and then another 16 meter in 2 seconds. What is the average speed of the object? Okay, I hope you have written the question. Now let us solve it. So this is how you will solve the question. So this is your solution. Now we are required to find average speed. Since we are required to find average speed, first you have to recall what was the formula for average speed. If you recall the formula, average speed is equal to, if you go back, you will see that average speed is equal to total distance. Okay, this is distance, total distance divided by total time. Okay, total distance divided by total time. Now it's a piece of cake. What you will do? You will look in the question and find the total distance. In the first instance, the body has traversed 16 meters. In the second instance, the body has traversed the same distance. It is not necessary, but in the question it is given. Both are same. 16 meter plus 16 meter gives us the total distance. Divided by total time. What is the total time? You will see, to travel the first 16 meter, the body takes 4 seconds. To travel the second 16 meter, the body takes 2 seconds. Okay, this is second. 4 seconds, 2 seconds. Add them up. 16 plus 16 gives us 32 meter. Divided by 4 plus 2, 6 seconds. Okay, 32 divided by 6, carry out the division. 32 divided by 6. 5 times 30. 3 times 18. Again it will come 3. So it's a recurring decimal. So we get approximately 5.34 meter per second. So this is your answer. 5.34 meter per second. Okay. 5.34 meter per second is the average speed. Okay, this is our next question. It's also an example from NCERT textbook. The question goes like this. Usha swims in a 90-meter long pool. She covers 180 meter in 1 minute by swimming from one end to other and back along the same straight path. Find the average speed and average velocity of Usha. So read the question. Usha swims in a 90-meter long pool. The length of the pool is 90 meter. She covers 180 meter in 1 minute by swimming from one end to other and back along the same straight path. That means she goes straight 90 meter and then comes back straight 90 meter. So the total distance 90 plus 90 becomes 180. And to cover this total distance, she takes a time of 1 minute. It's in minute. You are asked to find average speed as well as average velocity of Usha. This question is interesting. Okay, and it will help you in understanding average speed and average velocity. So let us solve it. First, you will write the question and then solve it if you can, or I am showing it here. So let's go for the solution. First we will find average speed. Okay. Then we will find average velocity. Now let me suppose Usha starts from here. This is the starting point, this is the ending point of the pool. Okay, this is starting point and this is your ending point. Usha starts from here, suppose name it as A, B, and the length of this pool is 90 meters. It is given in the question that she swims from one end to the other like this, and she comes back again from B to A. Okay, back and forth, A to B and from B to back A. So when she travels, when she swims from A to B, she covers 90 meters. Again, when she comes back from B to A, she is again covering another 90 meters. So total distance covered is 180 meters, 90 plus 90. And to do so, she takes a time of, how much time, let us find. In fact, it is given in the question. Total time is 1 minute. 1 minute. 1 minute to convert it into second, you will get 60 seconds. Okay, now you have total distance covered and now you have total time also. Now you have to recall the formula for average speed. If you recall the formula for average speed, formula was average speed. Average speed is total distance on the numerator divided by total time. Total distance we have already written 180 meters. Total time is 1 minute, so 60 seconds. So if you carry out the calculation, you will get 3 meters per second. Okay, so her average speed is 3 meters per second. I hope this is clear. Now comes the interesting part, to find average velocity. Okay, now let us go for average velocity. Average velocity. Recall, total displacement divided by total time. Now what is total displacement? It is the shortest distance between initial and final point. Initial and final. Now let us observe her journey. She started from A, went up to B, and came back again to the starting point. Listen carefully. Started from A, reached B, again came back to the same point. So her starting and the finish point is same. Initial and final point is same here. Okay, so initial, she has went from here to here and back here. Since our initial and final point is same, so the total displacement of the body is, since initial and final point is same, the total displacement of the body is 0. Okay, total time becomes immaterial now, still you can put, since total displacement is 0, we get the answer to be 0. Average velocity is 0. Okay, average velocity is 0. Or in proper units you can write meter per second. So average speed for Usha is 3 meter per second and average velocity is 0 meter per second. Now what is interesting here? A moving object can have non-zero speed but still have 0 velocity. And moving object can have non-zero speed, just like in this example, and average velocity is 0. So it is not necessary that if a body is having some non-zero speed, then its velocity is also non-zero. That is not necessary. Sometimes situations may arise where a body may have non-zero speed but 0 velocity. Okay? Okay, enough for today.